Welcome to the Fantasy Football Clown Show. I'm Ed, along with Brad and Justin. We're diving into the Elite Eight Division G, and Brad's going to come at us with picks 1 and 2 in the first round.
So the number one pick in this division was the Dutch Dynasty, and he definitely opted to go for a young rebuild team. He started with Herbert and Fields as his QBs, so he's definitely planning his young core around them. He faded running back, going with Brees Hall and Deonta Foreman as his top two. So it's definitely a sign that he's trying to build for the future. He also has 5 first-round picks in next year's draft with, I think, 5 second-round picks. So he obviously gave up some of his assets to build for the future. But his tight ends, he has Daniel Bellinger and Hawkinson, which can be built around. I think he'll be pretty good in the future. He's also got Jameson Williams on the bench to come in, and his receivers are already DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy, Chris Godwin, Elijah Moore. He's looking pretty set up for the future. The second pick was Noisy Silence, and he also went pretty young at most of his positions. His QBs, he went with Trey Lance, Tua, and Brissett to start it off, so he kind of stayed young there too as well. His receivers, he went kind of heavy with. He went Kupp, Diggs, Debo, T. Higgins, Mike Williams, guys like that. So he tried to go heavy on receiver for sure. I think he's going to be middle of the pack this year with no 23 first or second, but I think he'll have to make a couple of moves to be real competitive in this league.
Yeah, at the pick slot 3, top flight hooker, this team did draft 2 quarterbacks, and I always say that when you have Mahomes as one of your 2 quarterbacks, you have a chance. Mahomes and Winston are the 2 quarterbacks, and both are in their 20s, so that feels young to me. However, with only 2 quarterbacks, there's some zeros on those bye weeks, and that's before any injuries happen. I mean, an injury to Mahomes and this team just goes down the tube pretty quick with getting a 0 every week. And even an injury to Winston would really affect this in a negative way. So that would be scaring me on this team. The running backs are very high upside guys, but it seems very volatile to me with Monty, Dobbins, Dillon, and Hunt. So all guys with question marks in my mind and what their roles will be. The wide receiver room has Mooney, Sutton, Pittman, and Cooper, and we're going to come back to that a little bit. But the tight end room with Kmet and Waller, if you notice there at running back, receiver, and tight end, this thing features a Bears offensive player. And so when you're taking the number 1 running back, the number 1 receiver, and the number 1 tight end from the Bears offense, you must be looking at the Bears needing garbage time, being a thing for your team to be successful. So that also causes me for concern if that offense does sputter, that the team will go as the Bears go, and so linking your team to the Bears here feels a little bit suspect to me, even though I am wearing the Bears jersey. So we just kind of throw that out there. Pick slot 4 is Dutchy 13. This team has Wentz, Carr, and Watson, so 3 quarterbacks. However, Carr has that early bye week, so there is a 0 with no injuries coming on because Watson won't be back yet. I do like the running backs here, though, with Swift and ETN pacing the running back room. I think, those are 2 guys that are going to really have high upside and be able to be better than most other running back rooms when they're playing. A.J. Brown and Brandon Cooks give the wide receiver room a good 1-2 punch. And then my favorite part of this team is really the tight end room with Pitts and Freiermuth, both being second-year players and ascending age-wise in a 3-point PPR league. I feel like this really could set this team up. If it's not this year, it could be future years where this team really, begins to take off. So I do like where this team is going. It'll just be interesting to see how this team navigates through the injury curves that are just bound to happen in a team that starts 12 starters like our leagues do. Moving on to Justin at picks 5 and 6.
Yeah, pick 5. Shippa definitely built his team to win now and still have all of his picks, all of his future rookie picks, with Brady Wilson and Matt Ryan as his third quarterback, Jonathan Taylor, Austin Eckler, Josh Jacobs, and Tony Pollard to help rotate in their during bye weeks. He also has Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Allen Robinson, Robert Woods as the starting wide receivers, but he also was able to pick up MVS, Alec Pierce, and Josh Reynolds to help rotate in for injuries and bye weeks. Hunter Henry and Hayden Hurst have the same bye weeks, but still have the likes of Cameron Brate, Hunter Long, and Greg Deutsch to rotate in when it comes off IR. Shipper should find people in the draft in years to come to be able to bring in and continue to build to help him win his division now. At pick 6, Bacho was able to grab 3 of his starting receivers in Joe Burrow, Zach Wilson, and Davis Mills. Should be set there for a while with a thin running back room, however, and Jamonte Williams, Damian Harris, and Michael Carter. But there's not much there after that in the running back room there. He'll have to probably look to do some trades or maybe even just wait for the rookie draft next year with being able to grab should be able to grab help him grab a running back or maybe in some other positions with one of his 10 rookie draft picks with 1 in the first, 3 seconds, and 3 thirds with also 3 fourths in the 23 draft. Very young wide receiver with Drake London, Christian Kirk, Traquan Smith, Garrett Wilson, and Christian Watson, who was on his in his taxi squad there. Has some promise at tight end with Dalton Schultz, Mo Alley Cox, Johnny Smith, and Jalen Woods. Looking to see what he can do to help build with those 23 draft picks.
K. Quinn at the pick slot 7. This team has a quarterback room that'll make sure it gets points every week. I like how it started with Dak Prescott, Aaron Rodgers at the top, and Goff kind of behind that to be 3. But also, I feel like the research that this team did to kind of see how this league would score was pretty wise with Foles, Darnold, and Locke. And why I like those 3 backup quarterbacks that this team is using bench spots for is because they all have a good chance to start if there would be an injury. Like, if those starters go down, we know that the team probably wouldn't make a trade for a different quarterback to fill in. Like, those will be starting quarterbacks for a brief time if the starter goes down to injury. So it would actually be the opposite. If somebody else got hurt and somebody was trading for a backup quarterback, those guys could be on the move. So the 6 quarterback spots on this team feel really strong to me, and it pretty much ensures that there will be points every week coming into those 2 spots. When I look at the running back room, it has Zeke, Mixon, and Gibson. And while they're on the downside of the career and maybe some speculative, they do have top-end ability, and so there can be points there on the board. The receivers are Tyreek and Thomas, and, while they're, again, winding down, they are veteran receivers that have put up numbers in the past. And I look at the tight end room, and I feel like it anchored with Kelsey and Higbee. And Kelsey's one of those players that if you have Kelsey on the team at tight end with 3-point PPR, you'll always have a chance to get a 50 or 60 spot point week. And when you have that, it can really take care of all the other problems that may exist. If you have a 10-point receiver week, it's okay because you can cover it up with getting points out of your quarterback and your your tight end room getting more points than the other team. So I really think with a small amount of tinkering, this team will be in the playoffs and probably has a really reasonable shot at being a top 2 team and heading on to the Sweet 16. Barry 587, picked out of the 8 spot. And this team has Trevor, Mac Jones, and Pickett at quarterback. And the buys are late enough with Trevor and Mac that I think that Pickett believably could be a starter by then. And so this will probably cover that up with no injury. So all those quarterbacks are young enough that no panic should set in. It's either going to be this is the year or next year's the year, but it's just one of those patient type teams that you just have to see how they roll out. Now, as I say that, we look at the running back room, and it's got King Henry, Playoff Lenny, and Cordell Patterson. So those all feel like the end of the line running backs. But if you're going to have the end of the line of something on a team that may or may not be, running back's a good place to be because that's the place that you'll replenish and has the shortest shelf life. Because then when we start to look at the wide receiver room, it feels really young to me, and a couple pieces added with second and third round rookie picks can really make this room dominant with Devonta Smith, Justin Jefferson, Waddle, and Bateman and Ayuk. It really has the means of all early 20s receivers, so they can really kind of play into their own. And if you just backfill with if we look at this year's draft with Brees Hall and Walker and Pierce types of running backs, this team would be stout. So, I think that if this year isn't the year for it, and it'll probably be a 4 seed through 8 seed, somewhere in that vicinity. But by next year, with a couple running back ads, it really can be a dominant team in this league. So I like where Barry's heading. Brad's going to walk us through pick 9 and pick 10.
Yep. The 9th pick was Boyce, and he kind of did the same thing as the last team there. He went older with running back and younger with receiver. He went with Cook and Connor as his running backs with CH behind him, which is kind of a question mark this year. So his receivers, he went with Chase, Lamb, Tony, just to name a few. He's definitely building his team around a receiver core. He faded QB a little bit, going with Cousins and Jones with nothing behind them. So I feel like he's going to have to make a choice here soon on whether he wants to be competitive or not. His tight end room is pretty good, though, with Kittle, Goddard, Irv Smith, Kylan Granson. He's going to be set up there for a little bit at least, so he can kind of build around his receivers and tight ends and make moves from there. The 10 pick was Fantasy Freak, and he took a different approach. He went hard on QB, which got him Kyler, Lamar, Geno, Jimmy G, guys like that will be valuable to him come playoff time. He also went with Aaron Jones, Saquon, Melvin Gordon, Nyheim Hines as his running backs. So he's kind of looking pretty good this year for running backs to make a run at it. He faded receiver a little bit, going with Metcalf, Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown, DJ Chark, which if you're in a position to compete, I feel like it isn't bad because I think you can get receivers to make a competition out of it later down the road. His tight ends aren't that bad either, working with Andrews, Hooper, Tyler Conklin. I think he'll be a playoff team for sure this year, and he'll compete.
And Justin's going to give us picks 11 and 12.
Yes, pick 11, Millie was able to snatch up Josh Allen, Hurts, Marcus Mariota at quarterback. But with Allen and Hurts having the same bye weeks, week 7, maybe too much of a hill to climb to help pull out almost a double zero scorer for those weeks with Marcus Mariota there. The running backs with Elijah Mitchell, Miles Sanders, Ramondre Stevenson, and Kenneth Gainwell provides a good depth chart there with the wide receivers, Burks, Amara St. Brown, Juju, Gabe Davis, and Pickens provide a stable foundation to help build a really good team around there. Tight ends are very thin with Knox, Njoku, Kyle Rudolph, and Taylor Davis. Don't see Davis play much this year since he's buried there in the depth chart, but he might be able to get in there, make a big jump with any injuries or actually show that he can play well. Does not have any 23 first-round picks. Interesting to see what he can do over the next couple of years. At pick 12, Cellar Dweller is another team that was able to build his team around and keep all of his rookie picks with Stafford, Ryan Tannehill, Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. A little long in the tooth at running backs with CMC, Harris, Chubb, Kamara, and Raheem Mostert. Wide receiver room looks like Keenan Allen, Scary Terry, Adam Thielen, Hunter Renfrow, Lockett. A little thin at tight end, with only having 3, with 2 of them with having the same bye week. Looks like he's one trade away for a tight end to actually try to make a push.
So that's Clownhead's Division G in the Elite Eight. And want to ask you to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, come back and see us on Wednesday morning when we give you our Sweet 16 picks, which 2 teams we think will come out of this division and head to the Sweet 16 and play in the big playoff. Again, I'm Ed, that's Justin, that's Brad, and you've joined the Fantasy Football Clown Show.